Hi, I'm Tarana. I just recently got my PhD in education from the University of California, Irvine. Today I'll be discussing how to grow your growth mindset in math. Carol Dweck and her colleagues have proposed that a set of beliefs called mindsets play a key role in how students respond to academic difficulties and failures. One of the most commonly studied mindset beliefs is intelligence mindsets. In other words, we can have different mindsets regarding the malleability of our intelligence. You can either have a growth mindset, in which you believe your intelligence is malleable with the potential to develop further over time, or you can have a fixed mindset, in which you believe that you are born with a certain amount of intelligence that is unlikely to grow or change. Research has indicated that students' academic mindsets play a critical role in educational achievement and academic motivation, primarily because it shapes how students respond to difficulties in school. Training students to have a growth mindset has improved grades in middle school students, enhanced student persistence in online math games, improved college students' GPAs, and improved high school students' GPAs in large scale online interventions. In the following presentation, I will discuss the impact that a growth mindset has on students' academic motivation, specifically exploring how fostering a growth mindset is important in math class. I will also talk about how having a fixed mindset is directly related to demotivating stereotypes students may hold about math, and how having a growth mindset can effectively combat stereotype threat. I will also discuss best practices for implementing a growth mindset into middle school math classrooms.
We will first begin with a reflection activity to get us starting to think about the types of mindsets we naturally endorse. First, think about a time you struggled in math or didn't do as well as you expected on a math test. Think about the following questions. How did this experience impact your thoughts about your intelligence in math? How did you deal with this setback? And lastly, how did it affect how you prepared for your next assignment or test? After you think about your answers for a few minutes, discuss them with a partner. Mindset theory suggests that we can either have a growth mindset about our intelligence or we can have a fixed mindset about our intelligence. When you have a fixed mindset, intelligence is seen as a fixed trait, and you think that every person has a finite amount of intelligence from birth. Having a fixed mindset leads to a desire to appear smart. It also causes students to see their effort as pointless or as a reflection of their lack of ability. A fixed mindset leads to sacrificing learning opportunities in order to save face and appear smart instead. Students with a fixed mindset tend to avoid challenges and they feel threatened by the success of others. On the other hand, if you have a growth mindset, intelligence is seen as a potential that can be developed over time. Having a growth mindset leads to a desire to learn. Students with a growth mindset focus on effort and strategies that lead to learning and long-term achievement. These types of students persist in the face of setbacks and they embrace and seek challenges. Carol Dweck and her associates have championed effort-focused thinking and process-oriented learning, suggesting that students' mindsets shape their academic choices and responses to academic setbacks and struggles. What students believe about their intelligence can have a huge impact on their learning behaviors and their ability to become self-directed learners. One of the major reasons why mindsets have such an important impact on learning is because it influences how students proceed after facing an academic challenge. For example, Take a look at how a person with a fixed mindset responds to failure compared to a person with a growth mindset. When a person with a fixed mindset receives a bad grade on a math test, they may think, I failed because I'm not smart enough at math. There is no point in trying to get better at math. Having a fixed mindset may cause students to feel they are not good at math, resulting in a decline in their motivation for math. In contrast, when a person with a growth mindset receives a bad grade, they might think, maybe I didn't study enough and need to get more help next time. I should try a different strategy. Students with a growth mindset are more likely to respond to failure with increased effort and new strategies. When their successes become associated with their strong efforts, they may feel more motivated in math. Cultivating a growth mindset in math classrooms is especially important because many students have negative experiences in math, often due to the myth that math ability is innate. Many students feel that math is not their thing or that they are not a math person. These types of beliefs often stem from fixed mindset thinking. When students think about math as innate, challenging work becomes an indication of not being smart enough. Students tend to have anxiety surrounding their performance in math, and they see no point in trying if math skills are innate, which leads to them giving up. When students think that math ability can be developed or they have a growth mindset about math, they are more likely to welcome challenges. Furthermore, they see challenges as opportunities to learn, and they're more willing and eager to try new strategies to improve their math skills. Research has shown that having a growth mindset has led to greater math success compared with students who have a fixed mindset. Past studies have suggested that students who have a growth mindset receive higher grades than students with a fixed mindset. They also have an easier transition from elementary school math to more complex middle school math. Students with a growth mindset are more willing to put in effort even when they struggle, focusing on what they can learn to do better. When students have stereotypes about math, this is a type of fixed mindset thinking. Stereotypes are typically fixed mindset labels that imply some groups have a certain ability and others don't. An example of a pervasive math stereotype is that boys are better at math than girls. Sociocultural stereotypes that suggest males are more suited for STEM fields may prevent girls from developing their STEM interest because they feel it is not a field that is suited for their skills. As such, stereotypes about math may reinforce students' fixed mindset beliefs and impact their motivation and future academic choices. Stereotype threat is when others' perception of us influences how we perform. It is a situation in which people are at a risk of confirming a negative stereotype that is held about their social group, such as gender, ethnicity, or race. Groups stigmatized or stereotyped on the basis of social identity experience stress when asked to perform challenging tasks that converge with known stereotypes. When students are taught about a growth mindset, they are less likely to be influenced by stereotype threat because they won't see ability as being innate. The growth mindset instead portrays abilities as acquirable. This sends an encouraging message to students who have been negatively stereotyped, and this leads to greater motivation and engagement. Why are mindsets important? There exist huge social class, gender, race, ethnicity, education achievement gaps in the United States. Some research has shown that specifically targeting students' mindsets and implementing growth mindset interventions in school may help close these gaps. Furthermore, teaching students to have a growth mindset may improve student motivation and raise grades. Existing interventions have successfully benefited underperforming students, underrepresented minorities, and women in math and science. It is essential to maintain an equitable perspective when implementing a growth mindset into your classroom. A growth mindset is not just simply telling students they need to work harder. Hard work from students in traditionally marginalized communities isn't enough to overcome systemic, racial, gender, and economic oppression. Telling students to just try harder places the burden of effort only on their shoulders. Instead, a focus must be placed on effort as a means to learn. When students are trying but still struggling and not learning, educators should appreciate their effort but suggest a new strategy. Don't say, just try harder. Instead, you should say, try another way. Exploring a growth mindset during the middle school years can be especially important because the concept of a growth mindset involves challenging our notions of ourselves, which is something middle school students are already facing on social and emotional levels on a daily basis. During middle school, the workload becomes greater. Math courses become more difficult. Math motivation declines. At the same time, grades become more important. Students also must figure out how to handle less personalized instruction from their teachers. All of these factors can result in a big decline in academic performance for many students. When faced with new challenges, setbacks, or failures, some middle school students may respond with common thoughts that reflect their fixed mindset, such as, I'm just no good at this and I never will be, or if I have to work really hard at something, it must mean I'm bad at it, or math isn't my thing. No matter how hard I try, I will never be good at it. Adolescents' negative beliefs about themselves as learners will inevitably show up in their actions, much like a self fulfilling prophecy. In order to combat fixed mindsets in middle school, encourage students to step outside of their comfort zones, embrace failure and missteps, motivate them to see failure as an opportunity to learn. Help them realize that helpful feedback is meant to help them improve, and inspire them to view learning as a process, not an inherent talent. Now you'll have a chance to put what you learned about growth mindsets into practice. In Activity 1, you will watch a brief video, have a discussion with a partner, and write a letter to a future student. Take a few minutes to watch the following video by Khan Academy. find a partner, and discuss a time when you overcame a struggle in school or learned how to solve a problem. Talk about how this experience made your brain smarter. The next part of our activity involves writing a letter to a future student. Write a letter of encouragement to a future student who is struggling in math and feeling dumb. Include in your letter an example of a learning related struggle you experienced in math, what you learned from it, and any other advice you have to offer. Our second activity requires a few large posters and some markers. We will be predicting learning behaviors based on a few scenarios that I will describe for you. First, begin by making a two-column poster like the one shown here. Label one side Fixed Mindset Responses and label the other side Growth Mindset Responses. List setback 1, 2, and 3 in each column, leaving plenty of space between them so that you can write below each one. In groups of 2 to 3 people, record how each student would react and respond to their setback if they had a fixed mindset and if they had a growth mindset. Setback 1. Betty studies for hours the night before her math test. After finding the exam to be very difficult, she finds out she failed the test. In column 1, write Betty's reaction and her response if she had a fixed mindset, and in column 2, write her reaction and response if she had a growth mindset. Setback 2. Jack joined the swim team, but is struggling to swim as fast as his peers. He is considering leaving the team. In column 1, write Jack's response if he had a fixed mindset. In column 2, write Jack's response to the situation if he had a growth mindset. Setback 3. A math teacher has a student who is struggling in her class. The student always tells the teacher that she is not smart enough to figure anything out. In column 1, write the math teacher's response to this situation if she had a fixed mindset. In column 2, write her response if she had a growth mindset. I will now discuss a few tips for our Math CEO mentors. Tip 1. Be mindful of your own mindset. The teacher mindset influences their pedagogical decisions and the type of feedback they give to students, which, in turn, impacts the students' dispositions. Teachers with a fixed mindset are more likely to lower expectations for their students after just one low initial performance. As a result, they may adopt a comforting and not challenging pedagogy, which could reduce student engagement with the subject. Examples of comforting pedagogical practices would be assigning only easy tasks to that student and not calling on the student in class. Moreover, teachers with fixed mindsets are more likely to try to comfort students for their presumed low ability in the subject than to provide strategic feedback. An example of comfort feedback for a student failing calculus would be, I know you are a talented student in general, but not everyone can be a math person. In contrast, a strategy feedback for the same student would be, I know you are a talented student in general, and I want you to change your study strategies and consider reading the textbook and studying with some peers. Research has shown that statements of consolation for low ability, even when phrased positively, make students feel less motivated and lower their ability self-concept. Tip 2. Don't just tell the students to work harder. This is especially important when working with disadvantaged students. Telling students to just try harder places the burden of effort only on their shoulders. Instead, encourage students to seek out and try new strategies or seek assistance from others when they're stuck. Tip 3. Be aware of how you praise students. Avoid praising students for their intelligence. Comments like, "Congratulations, you're so smart," reinforces views of fixed mindsets in students. A student might end up thinking, "If I didn't solve the problem, it means I'm not smart." If a student solves a problem, praise the student for their effort rather than for their ability to get to the final answer, saying things like, "Great job, you must have worked really hard," or "Thanks for this example. What did you do to solve the problem?" If a student is working hard but is not making any progress, praise their effort and immediately talk about what they can try next. Tip 4. Promote a positive climate for learning. Within your classroom, demonstrate that everyone can learn, help is available, and effort is expected. Tip 5. Embrace and celebrate mistakes. Set the norm that you embrace mistakes as part of the learning process. Tell the students that you love and want mistakes. You could say something like, "By the way, I want you to know that I love mistakes the most." Explain to the students why mistakes are important. Tell them mistakes are chances to learn and get smarter. If students aren't making mistakes, then the work is not challenging enough for them. Mistakes are the time when students really learn. Celebrate mistakes and create a culture where students are willing to take risks and present their mistakes on the board. Other students often have made the same mistakes and can learn from example. Keep students at the edge of their understanding and assign work that encourages mistakes. It is important to keep in mind students are missing out if they are not given a chance to make mistakes.
Students who endorse a growth mindset are less likely to doubt their ability to succeed, even in the face of failure and academic difficulty. They are more prepared to respond to their failures with increased effort, leading to greater engagement, motivation, and achievement. A growth mindset may be especially beneficial in math because it can combat stereotypes that are often associated with math, allowing students to feel that their math abilities are acquirable rather than innate. Nurturing a growth mindset oriented curriculum in school may serve to reduce racial, gender, and social class gaps that are pervasive in the U.S. education system. Certain characteristics about middle school, such as the increased difficulty of math courses and the greater workload, make it an even more crucial time point to encourage students to have a growth mindset. It is important to remember that a crucial part of instilling a growth mindset is emphasizing that putting forth more effort goes beyond just simply trying harder. It means finding new strategies and new ways to overcome obstacles, because the ultimate goal is to learn and to grow your intelligence. For more tips, refer to your tip sheets on how to grow a growth mindset in math classrooms.